most of you are aware who watch my channel, I quite often have a go at Sky News, and rightfully so. They're certainly an organisation that needs to be criticised for their lack of professional journalistic integrity. One could argue they don't have any, but particularly their opinion pieces. Now, I'm not suggesting for a moment that it's the news that they run during the day hasn't got, is probably more appropriate. But the opinion people, such as Paul Murray, Kelly, I know Rita, Andrew Bolt, whatever they are often way out of line. So it has been interesting to note that they have been pulled up by the media watchdog in relation to their reporting on certain issues. Now, Paul Barrie from Media Watch today presented a really interesting and accurate overview of what's been happening around Sky. And so I thought I'd just play you Paul Murray's segment from Media Watch in relation to this, because it validates all the things I have been saying about them forever. Now, the question is, will anything change? Probably not. Are they going to learn from their lessons? As you'll see at the end of this presentation, I don't think so. So let's see what Paul has to say.
Checking with Sky's Outsiders, which was last week found by ACMA to have
breached its responsibilities to present news accurately and fairly, and to distinguish clearly between factual material and commentary on 4 separate occasions between October and December 2021.
Like Kyle, the host of Outsiders, Rowan Dean, has starred on Media Watch many times, mostly for his crazy climate denial.
Every week I do a segment called Ice Age Watch, where we look at what we think is happening with the weather around the planet.
Ice Age Watch is so ridiculous, it's hard to take it seriously. But ACMA clearly has, and good on them.
I will argue that there's much on Sky News that is actually hard to take all that seriously.
We whacked Dean in 2019 for an absurd interview with a self-styled astro-meteorologist who claimed the stars can tell you how much it will rain or shine 1,000 years from now.
You can predict, 1,000 years in advance using astronomy.
And who was this David Burton? Turned out he was a corporate astrologer who used astrology to make predictions on financial investments, hedging currency, futures and trading markets, and who claimed he could use Hindu astrology to accurately predict the outcomes of horse races.
Of course.
So why did Outsiders treat him as an expert? Good question, especially since his claims were dismissed by a real astronomer, Professor Michael Brown from Monash, as
obviously bunkum, complete nonsense.
But that wasn't the first time that Outsiders' stupid score had gone off the dial. Here is Dean and his then co-host Ross Cameron in 2017, pouring scorn on climate scientists' warnings that global warming will cause sea levels to rise.
It's gone up by about 1 millimetre.
Rising sea levels. You got it?
I've got it. 3 mil.
3 mil.
Media Watch had a crack at that one too, and at this segment in 2018, in which Dean suggested the world isn't warming.
This week, news of the big chill has come as a big shock to global warming activists across the globe.
And we did Dean again in 2020 for downplaying the link between climate change and the nation's worst ever bushfires.
Unprecedented bushfires, unprecedented drought. No, this Australian summer has been the summer of unprecedented stupidity.
Those are just a sample, and we suggested someone should complain to the media watchdog. Well, now that's happened, and ACMA has given Outsiders a big slapdown after former PM and Murdoch media scourge Kevin Rudd made 80 complaints about the programme back in 2021. ACMA looked at 6 of Rudd's complaints relating to 4 of the broadcasts and found Outsiders had breached industry codes 4 times by failing to present news accurately and fairly, and/or by failing to distinguish fact from opinion. And here is one example. A claim that the UK was forcing people to scrap their gas heaters at great expense. And apologies for the quality of the video.
Bonkers Boris Johnson, who is mandating that everyone in Britain get rid of their perfectly good gas heaters and...
So you get the drift. The reality is that even though the issues have been taken to ACMA, and ACMA have found that they transgressed and breached some of these journalistic guidelines, they didn't receive a punishment. There was no fine involved. They were just told not to do it again. But of course they will, because it says here, I'll just try and bring it up. The statement we get from Fox News, Sky News, is ambiguous and odd.
The complaints were made by Mr. Rudd as part of a politically motivated campaign against Sky News Australia. We estimate these actions have consumed some hundreds of hours of the regulator's time and resources, also paid for by the taxpayer.
So I didn't put that up, but you got the gist. So this is what it looks like. The complaints were made by Mr. Rudd. We estimate these actions have consumed some hundreds of hours of the regulator's time and resources, also paid by the taxpayer. So the reality is that nothing is going to change. They're going to stay exactly as they are. They're going to spread garbage, falsehoods to the community in the years to come. And I guess my point is that we need to be mindful of what it is that they're doing, how they're doing it, and we need to challenge it whenever it happens, because it influences those people who perhaps don't tend to have a sense of a rational view of the media. And if they live in that one particular bubble in particular, then they're likely to be influenced by whatever that bubble is saying. And we need to push that out a little bit to let people know that there are alternate ways of looking at the news. And I just need to say that also, it's not just Sky News, it's Channel 9 and Channel 7 and Channel 10 and even the ABC on occasions tend to produce media items which are not necessarily accurate and which clearly should be challenged at some particular level, particularly if they're leaning so far right that they obscure the truth and facts. And we need to challenge it. I mean, all of us need to be challenged. I need to be challenged about my views as well, and happy for people to do so. So find a way to just don't accept whatever it is that you're told, to confront it rationally and reasonably, and perhaps be prepared to accept that the way you're viewing it may not necessarily be accurate either. And I'm sure that some of the ways I view the news isn't accurate. It's based on my own biases. I understand that. But sometimes we just need to be able to confront the realities that sit in front of us and maybe, where possible, shift, make changes so that we can accept what the facts are telling us. So thanks to everybody for being with me. Look, just if you've got any questions or you want to have a conversation with me, you can comment below, or you can contact me through the email address that's now on the screen. And I'd like you to subscribe to my channel, ring the bell for future notifications. Thanks everybody for being with me. Take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, be safe.